Gotta go check if this thing's working.
Check if the thing is motherfucking work. Okay.
I hope that it's not catching
And
my audio. Maybe it is. That would be funny.
we already cursed in the first 30 seconds, so YouTube's not gonna like that. YouTube's not gonna like that.
YouTube's not gonna like that, but we don't give a fuck. I hope that it's not catching my audio. Maybe it is. That Whoops. Would be funny. It was our videos and shit. Huh? Oh, the mic's still on. What up, everybody? If you are hearing me talk right now, then you know that this episode started off without a hitch. I mean, with a lot of hitches, like Charles Barkley's golf swing.
Or the Steelers offense. Sorry.
Okay, so today we have a special episode brought to you by Chris, called "Let Thanksgiving Live." We're gonna get into
Thanksgiving live.
Yeah, a little let Thanksgiving live. I can't talk today. It's probably because the Phillies started playing at 5 o'clock, which means I started drinking at when I got home from work. I did my full shift, and so it's catching up with me.
Oh my goodness, this is going to be an episode.
But before we get into today's topic and how it's actually relevant to the beer world, Chris, what are you drinking? Beer.
I am actually drinking Brew Gentleman's Oktoberfest.
What?
Yeah. Saw this, had to grab it. I don't know what it is that steers me away from like these types of cans, but like in this sense, it actually drew me in. Maybe it's because all seltzers come in cans like this, and I hate seltzers.
I love seltzer.
See, I don't know. Maybe
that's not good. What happened? What happened?
What happened?
Check the game.
Check the game. Check the game. You check the game. What happened? If you guys can't tell, we're Phillies fans. And having it be at 5 o'clock is really cramping our style. Oh. It is. It's 1-1 now.
Fuck. All right.
We're all right. It's gonna be
okay. So you got drawn into the can because it reminded you of a seltzer.
No. Hold on. That is fake news. That is a false flag operation. I was originally pushed away from the can because of it. But then I saw it was a Brew Gentleman Oktoberfest, and I went right for it. And wow, this is delicious. Really, really good. Glad I got it.
It looks like it's a Marzen, right?
This is definitely a Marzen, although they don't specify. Technically, they don't specify. They just call it a classic German style seasonal lager. So it can kind of technically it could be either, right? Although the Marzen would be the more traditional classic style. So I feel like it's a Marzen. Nice. The color suggests it's a Marzen. Delicious. What are you drinking, bud?
I too am drinking the Fest of October from Workhorse.
Okay. Like, why are you specifically covering up the label? You're just like,
Um, it's good. It's a Marzen. You know the So what I like about Marzens is that maltiness, but I
right?
don't like. It's a weird balance for me because I know there's like some sweetness that's involved with it. Um, but sometimes it becomes overly sweet to me. If not balanced correctly, I think, and that's just my personal opinion. And the Workhorse Marzen just doesn't hit the way that I was hoping it would. It's not bad. Let's see. Our mission, simply put, is to make sure the beer is made right. We take a no-nonsense approach to classic beer styles that are broadly appealing and consistently delicious, magically delicious. Um,
After you just shat all over it.
yeah, I mean it's good. It's a 5.8%. Very classic, very traditional. Just a tad on the sweet side, in my opinion. So, I like something that has a little more autumnal crisp to it.
Autumnal crisp. Yeah, I mean, but if we are being fair, Oktoberfest is like the end of summer, truly.
Yeah.
And a Marzen, if as you might suggest, is actually going to be drank as it's getting warmer.
Mm-hmm.
Traditionally, when it's made, it's actually as it's getting warmer. And then, of course, Oktoberfest being more so late September, very beginning of
Yeah,
October.
like usually last week of September, first week of October. Yeah.
So, truly, I think the crisp. I think maybe a fest beer would scratch more of that itch. But I get what you're saying with Marzens, and it's one of those things where it's like the double-edged sword of the malty, like the sweeter malty notes is what really draws it to us. But if it's not balanced quite right, it does get like overly sweet. It's got to have like a breadiness to it.
Right. I like the breadiness element a little more than I like this like sweet caramel element of it. When I go for Oktoberfest, that's a beer style that I traditionally like to drink multiple of. Like if I can have a 4-pack of a Oktoberfest, I'm a very happy camper. But because of the sweetness that's in it, one maybe two is all that I'm gonna do. And it's between like I have this and the variety pack of Dogfish in the fridge, and I'd sooner reach for like the Blue Hen or the Locale before I go back to this.
That's fair enough. Although I will say both of those, in terms of like going back to it throughout a sitting or throughout the night, those two Dogfish heads are. If you're into light beer, that Locale is fantastic, actually. And the Blue Hen for like Pilsner, I mean, can't go wrong with Pilsner.
That's what I'm saying. So to get into it, obviously go Phils. That's where we're at. Hannah texted saying the script is scripting right now. So
the script is scripting. That's fine enough. I mean, it's tough flying out west and then playing a game at 1 o'clock essentially.
Right.
After playing an 8 o'clocker, just 2 days before. So it's not even really a deal. You got like a day and a half and you're traveling into a different time zone.
I'm honestly not sure what to do. This game's going to be over and it's not going to be 11 o'clock, and I'm going to be like, do I go to bed?
Well, you could try to turn on it's exceedingly probably not interesting Thursday night football game.
What, you don't think the Jaguars are going to like clean up?
That's what I mean. Like it's not going to be interesting. For some reason, Thursday night games, like they just aren't. They're usually bad matchups for some reason. I don't know what that is, but they're usually just bad matchups. And like the Amazon, they haven't gotten like the technical portion down where the broadcast is just okay. like so often it just goes to like 480p on me mid play. And I'm just like, Amazon has too much money for this to be happening.
Right.
Not my internet connection, because I'll go on any other streaming service I have and it'll be completely fine. So get it together, Amazon.
Yeah.
But you know, I wanted to kind of start this conversation by, obviously, it was good to see you this weekend. Finally got down to Philly, to Love City, to have the beer of the, not the hour, but of all time. Grand Hatton Flash. There we go. Grand Hatton Flash.
Flash,
Have it
flash,
on.
flash.
Yeah. Grand Hatton Flash, flash, flash. It's so good on tap, guys. If you are in the Philly area, get over to Love City. It's still on tap. It's available for purchase in the 4 packs. I believe in the coolers
Yeah.
there still. Go get you some.
Yeah, go try some and then take it home. You know, I think that's what was really nice about it on draft. It's just the body just sits better. Like it just feels like it's a little more well rounded than when you drink it out of the can. Not to say like out of the can's bad. It's just going from the can to it on draft. It is a wildly different experience, and it's like from good to great. Like
Yeah, I would say that's like, I feel like that's par for the course between, obviously, draft is the premium way to have
Yeah,
beer,
yeah.
personally, poured into a glass through the tap system. Like that's the least amount of touching and transferring involved. It's just cleaner, as we kind of like learned in the bottling process. Not clean as in like sanitary,
Yeah.
it's just like there's so much that can, like, there's so much variability that can go on in a canning process. It could happen, and then the can, like a keg is a little more secure than a can, until it's popped into the system, and then everything's still airtight. Like it just works,
I
that's the
definitely
way
agree.
to have it. So it was amazing watching that Eagles game. Not so amazing. However, grabbing that pumpkin ale from Love City. If you guys are near Love City, grab that freaking pumpkin ale monster. That was so good. And I think I mentioned this. I usually get the pumpkin once a year from Southern Tier. Usually, I'm a very seasonal person. Pumpkin isn't my favorite thing, but I enjoy it in when it starts getting cold, like just for the seasonality of it. I had one left. I had the Monstro, had the pumpkin first, and then I had the Monstro directly after. I prefer the Monstro, like
That's cool.
far and away. Far and away, I think it's better. And that's saying something, because
Yeah.
pumpkin is really good. So definitely go and try that. I'm so hyped about that. Like, I feel like Love City, I feel like when they go out of the box, it usually turns out well.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, Hannah just has something like that clicks in her mind when it comes to these beers. I think, witnessing it, trying to get a better understanding of like, okay, what happens when you like create something? Like, are you able to small batch this quick first and then like go from there? But like in her mind, it looks like, all right, this is how it's going to be done. Here's the recipe that I think is going to work, and then you drink it,
And
and
then,
it's just like, what the fuck? Like that's insane.
it's like,
And I
how
don't,
does this?
and I'm not sure if this is like her recipe or anything. I feel like they've done it before. I forget how long Hannah's been around, but it wouldn't shock me if she had a major hand in like either
At
in
least,
it or elevating it.
yeah. I mean, out of her, her own words, is like her thing is kind of taking an off the wall idea and kind of trying to just make it work, make it drinkable in the beer paradigm, right? So obviously that worked well for the Grand Hatton Flash. And I think, again, for a pumpkin beer, you want to talk about something that could go wrong very quickly, is pumpkin beers, in terms of like,
Oh yeah.
flavors. And I think this is just, it's so well balanced. It's not super spicy, pumpkin spicy, but it gives you enough of that it balances out. You know what I mean? It's crisp, it's refreshing, it's amazing.
So
Truly, truly amazing.
so I'm putting the timer on this episode as in when the ninth inning hits, it's over. We're watching the ninth inning at that's the latest I'm
Yes.
going back to this game.
I'm superbly in agreement with that.
uh,
So we have a monitor on this.
but what I wanted to do real quick is bring it into the namesake of this episode, which is Let Thanksgiving Live. We kind of alluded to it right here. We're talking about the seasonal beers that exist, and
Exactly.
you know, towards the end of the summer, we're hitting like when the end of the summer hits. The joke is always, here comes the pumpkin, here comes the cinnamon, right?
Mm.
But you were seeing something that was stressing you out. What is the purpose of this episode?
My brother in beer. My brother in beer. I was going to my favorite place to grab beer, Bresky's, on the way home from work today. I don't know what I'm gonna get. You know, usually I go check out what they have on draft for crowlers, see if it's anything piques my interest. If not, I immediately go to their cooler section. You know, they have a walk-in cooler area, right? Fridge area, to get something quick for the episode. And they have a Trogs area because it's Harrisburg area. So they have a literal dedicated Trogs shelf, like 5 or 6 shelves rows worth, and it's always Trogs something, whatever their seasonal is, all the normal stuff.
A trough, if you will.
Well, speaking of Trelfs, I saw something on that Trelf that rhymes with Trelf, and it was Mad Elf. Now, if you know Mad Elf, you know that is it's a winter beer that's it says on the can, once a year, it's a seasonal beer. The whole thing is it comes out around Christmas time, and it's the elf with well, it's an elf, so Santa, right? And they got the little Santa hat on, right? And he's looking drunk, whatever. And you know, I feel like there's always this thing about Thanksgiving getting like looked over in terms of like decoration,
Yeah.
where it's everyone's super hyped for Halloween. Up till Halloween, people have Halloween stuff out fairly early, and then it's like it goes from Halloween, people put that away and just get the Christmas stuff out right away. And
Yeah.
there's time for like just the enjoyment of just straight up fall, which is more what Thanksgiving feels, you know what I mean? And it's just like it's always the phrase of, oh, let Thanksgiving live. And I thought beer was always like one of those things that was just very like on time. You know what I mean? Like you get your Marzens and Oktoberfests maybe like mid-August, right? Late August, getting into the season, and then you enjoy them through like the earlier parts of October. And now we transition into then pumpkin beers start coming out in mid-September, late September.
Yeah,
And
like to your point,
pumpkin thing.
Love City's Oktoberfest. I don't know if they like got it like done any more of it, but when we were there last Sunday and I went to take a 4-pack out, they were done. They were gone. Like it was on draft, but it was gone.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like because we're transitioning now into the monster, right? It's into the pumpkin. So now here we are at the pumpkin, and it's like pumpkin hasn't really even had an opportunity to live yet. And Trogs makes a half decent that was a Master of Pumpkin beer they have.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, they have a pumpkin beer. All right. So that pumpkin beer is there right next to the Mad Elf, like squished in the middle. You could barely see it. Like there's just one row of that, and there's all this Mad Elf, and it's just like, why? What is that obsession with? I know Christmas is just like the most popular holiday for like obvious reasons, but it's just like I never thought beer would get to this point. What happens to the good old
Yeah,
days?
it's interesting. Like for this is the first season I think I actually feel like I went into a Target right as Halloween was approaching, and the Christmas stuff was already leaking out, obviously, but I saw dedicated Thanksgiving stuff, and that was surprising. Like I was like, well, okay, that was really interesting. But you're right, like Christmas was already taken over. But beer was very rarely ever like that. You got your really like you'll start seeing stouts and porters and stuff being pushed a little heavier, and then like your barley wines and like your whatever these cherry Mad Crew shits that you have from like Mad Elves and stuff, right? These
Right.
ales, these like strong ales. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's usually much more seasonal. You might see them sneaking out around Thanksgiving. I remember seeing stuff like that helped lead into like Blackout Fridays for me, right? Um,
Blackout Fridays.
but yeah, just like not having the space for these seasonals, that it becomes a little confusing for us drinkers, or for us that base the time of year based off of what we are drinking.
Yes, we're getting scared.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to say based for things
Base.
like the turkey.
Wow. That did wow. Okay, Tyler, you are
Yeah,
rare form.
I'm I'm stuffing a lot into these jokes and it's just not hitting.
Yeah, these are really empty jokes. They're not filling at all.
Is there an
Yeah.
opposite of a turkey? Like when you strike out, when you do strikes three in a row, like is there an opposite of that?
I know you get roasted for it.
Whoa. And this is how we let Thanksgiving live.
Yeah, turducken.
um,
That one.
and I think as avid Bob's Burgers fans, I think that also puts a little emphasis on the holiday for me too. Is just I get excited one to rewatch those episodes. Not that I'm already not rewatching them, but I specifically look out for these Thanksgiving episodes. Uh, and it's not that I'm like a big fan of the tradition of Thanksgiving and like like Pilgrims, Indians. Or obviously, it can go to the wayside just like Columbus Day, right?
Mm,
But I do like the tradition of getting together and reflecting. I do like the beers that are out around here because it is a nice little mix of ending like the Oktoberfest season, starting to get into some of these heavier beers as well. So it's a nice flavorful mix of beer versus Pilsner or like hop juicy crazy beers. You're getting into a little more complex um,
right.
season, and so yeah, I completely agree with you. I wasn't sure where you were going when the text came through. I was like, okay, maybe he's gonna rant the same way I ran every time this year about it. But no, it was much more poignant. It was much more on the Dogfish Head with the beer top.
On the dogfish head, like on the head, like on the okay, on the nose. No, I agree with you totally. Like because a lot of time, like there aren't many there aren't many times of year besides September through basically starting in September through the end of the year where you have a very distinct seasonal styles. You know, I think, you know, the Oktoberfest, you're gonna have your Fest beer Marzens, right? And then after that, we're in the pumpkin beers into the fall. And then into the winter, you have like your spiced wintry ales, right? And those are very distinct things that a lot of breweries don't normally do different. Like there are a lot of breweries that just we might have a lager and then we have all these IPAs and we might have a stout, right? But now we get into these seasons and everyone's going to have an Oktoberfest. So that's a departure for a lot of people, for a lot of breweries, right? And then we're going to have a pumpkin beer. That's a departure. So it's like, it's forcing the variety to be there where sometimes it's not. And then once it gets into this winter, then even like not just a standard stout, but you can get all types of crazy crazy types of heavier stouts for the winter time. So I just think this back quarter of the year is very important to like the beer variety, like the seasonal beers in the back September through December are just like a highlight of the year, I guess, because everything else, like you said, like Pilsners is the most popular style in the world. So there's always going to be Pilsners everywhere. And that's more of a summery beer for the most part. IPAs are just IPAs, and everyone's just going to be whatever is the craze for an IPA at the time. That's going to be what the IPAs are. It's going to be 5 or 6 of them on the list. But during this time, you can find your Marzen and okay, cool. This place is going to have a Marzen at least. This place is going to have a pumpkin beer at least. So
Yes.
I think we gotta let that ride out. Just let those distinct styles ride. Let them live a little bit, man.
Yep. No, I agree.
Right.
This is just one of those. I think it's
We're a victim of poor scheduling by the MLB.
yeah. But also for me, going back to the actual beer related thing, Mad Elf used to be like actually really hard to get.
Yeah, yeah. And now it's really hard to avoid.
Yeah, and I think that's what I would have to agree on. Like Hop Blizzard or Blizzard of Hops or whatever Trogs has isn't really a seasonal beer in my mind. I feel like that's always available, and that's
It is
fine.
oddly always available considering it's a winter
Yeah,
beer.
but I think Sam Adams puts out a interesting season of like winter beers. They have their seasonal fall beers, which I'm only really interested in Oktoberfest. Um, but yeah, I do like these. Anchor used to have their Christmas beer that they put out all the time that I really enjoyed. Um, there were seasonal beers that I look forward to trying them because they changed from year to year. So even getting like a vintage um, beer from somewhere that like lasted a whole year or 2 years, like from Anchor, that was like sometimes you would get there like maybe in 2020 I had the 2018 Christmas beer,
Yeah.
right? Like those were always nice to get as well. They did all those like 24 days of Christmas. They did like all the beer. I think you did that series one time as well. Um, so it's a special time for beer. I think there's certain seasonals, and it's actually usually my seasonals revolve around Trogs sometimes, because I'm usually looking for Nugget Nectar, or Nimble Giant, from Trogs, and those feel like that doesn't last long. That feels like a very
It's a very,
small
yeah.
window compared to like this Mad Elf, like
Well, particularly double nugget nectar. But I certainly agree with you. And in fact, even if you think about like their cycle of like the seasonals,
mm,
it's IPA, 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 double IPA, 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 double IPA, Oktoberfest Marzen. Okay, a pumpkin beer. All right, then we have the Blizzard of Hops, if we want to call that seasonal. Mad Elf. All of a sudden, they're different styles. They're very distinct beers. There's something that you can go back and say, "Oh, okay, yes, yes, yes. I remember this last year." Like, obviously, we're familiar enough with Trogs to know, like the field study,
the Scratch series.
Final Cut. They have scratch series a lot at their place a lot of times, where a lot of these seasonals end up coming from.
Yeah,
But like in terms of just distribution, like you got like Final Cut, you got Field Study, Nimble Giant,
Crimson
Nugget.
Pistol.
When Crimson Pistol was a thing, but like right now, like all that I just mentioned, those are all IPAs.
Yeah,
It's different, slightly different, but they're all IPAs. So having that variety in the seasonals in the later part of the year, I think is really important.
yeah.
So let's live.
Yeah, exactly. So, end of the 8th. Our next episode of this will be out November 2nd. So it'll be right after Halloween. Hopefully, I don't know. Maybe I have enough energy to finally get back into releasing episodes. That maybe you'll see something sneak out at the end of October. Wouldn't that be scary?
That I don't even know what to say.
Well, until next time,
Peace.
go Phils.
There's one.
Yeah.